It's Christmas Eve. I'm just hanging out in downtown Chandler, Arizona with some family, walking around, enjoying the warm weather, looking at palm trees and the surrounding Arizona environment, and having nothing to do with snow or cold. I'm going to give you some pro tips on how to get the most out of your GoPro and how to capture really smooth slow motion shots using your GoPro or any other camera for that matter. Today I'd also like to give away a few prizes, including a brand new GoPro Hero 5 Black Edition camera. Stay tuned for the details of all the giveaways.
Yourself a merry little Christmas night. And have yourself a merry little Christmas.
Merry Christmas. It is Christmas Day, December 25th. Although it's not officially Christmas Day yet when I'm filming this, but by the time this episode of this vlog is released, it will be Christmas Day. Now I know that a lot of people celebrate Christmas and some people don't celebrate Christmas, and I also know that many people celebrate Christmas for different reasons, and Christmas means something different to different people. For many it is the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. For some it is simply a great holiday to get together with family, to hang out with people that you haven't seen in a while, to exchange gifts, to be generous, and just to have a great time seeing those that you haven't seen for most of the year, and still for a few other people, bah humbug. Regardless of what Christmas means to you or why you do or don't celebrate, I think that it's a great and perfect opportunity just to simply be extra generous to anyone and everyone around us. I personally enjoy being generous and I enjoy to be giving, and I think it's great for everyone to be generous and giving year round, but Christmas is a great opportunity just to simply do something extra special for someone and have that as an excuse to say, hey, it's Christmas. Why did you give this to me? It's Christmas. Why are you doing this for me? It's Christmas. Why not? So maybe you have a GoPro, maybe you have a new GoPro, maybe you have just received a GoPro for Christmas. Regardless, I'd like to give you some pro tips on how to get super smooth slow motion footage captured by your GoPro. Now, of course, I'm working with the GoPro Hero 5 Black Edition. However, these tips can definitely apply to any GoPro or any other camera that is capable of shooting high-speed footage. Now, if you want to understand how to capture super smooth slow motion shots on your GoPro, you first need to understand how slow motion works, what's actually going on in the camera when you're shooting a slow motion shot, and how frame rates work. There are two standardly accepted frame rates for playing back and watching our various forms of entertainment. Those are 24 frames per second and 30 frames per second, or more specifically, 23.976 frames per second and 29.970 frames per second. And of course, in Europe, there's the PAL standard, which is 25 frames per second. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm going to specifically talk about 24 frames per second, or 23.976, although everything that I talk about in this video is easily translatable to the other frame rates of playback. So when I shoot something at 48 frames per second, what I'm doing is I'm actually shooting twice the amount of data for every second of action, which means I have 48 frames and only playing back at 24 frames, which allows me to make it look like it's playing in slow motion. You have 48 frames of data for 1 second of action, but when you play back at 24 frames per second, frames 1 through 24 are seen in the first second, and frames 25 through 48 are played in the second, making it look like your motion or your action is actually half as fast as what it was actually filmed at. Same is the case with other frame rates, such as 60 frames per second, which would be 2.5 times the amount of data for every second, or 96 frames per second, which would be 4 times the amount of data for every second, and 120 frames per second, which would be 5 times the amount of data for every second, meaning that you have 120 frames of information for each second of action, but only require 24 to play it back properly. In that case, when you play back the entire clip with all of that information at only 24 frames per second, it takes you 5 times as long to play back the same clip. So 1 second of action filmed at 120 frames per second takes 5 seconds to play back at 24 frames per second, making it look like you're playing it back at 20% of the actual speed. lot of people really like having a white Christmas with lots of snow around, and where I live, that's definitely a possibility this year, given that on Christmas Eve, a day before Christmas, there is still lots of snow on the ground. However, I, on the other hand, am totally okay with having a warm, sunny Christmas with palm trees around, and it's like 65 degrees, and I am actually sweating right now because I'm wearing a small jacket. I might have to take that off soon. Let me walk across. Now, when you're shooting on a GoPro in its auto modes, the GoPro heavily relies on adjusting the shutter speed in order to adjust the amount of light that gets let into your shot. So if I were to take my GoPro outside in the middle of the day when it's bright and shoot at 60 frames per second with all auto settings on the GoPro, it would do a pretty good job of giving me smooth motion because there's a lot of light. But if I were to try to shoot in low light conditions or at dusk in the evening or even indoors, then the GoPro may end up bringing my shutter speed down to 1/30 or 1/60 when I'm trying to shoot at 60 frames per second. Which would give me a pretty choppy looking image. If you're filming at 60 frames per second and your shutter speed is set to 1/30, which means 1/30th of a second, that means that your shutter makes a pass 30 times every second, which basically means that your shutter speed is slower, half the speed as your frame rate. That means that every 2 frames that you capture are going to be the exact same frame. This makes it pretty pointless to shoot at 60 frames per second because you're really only getting 30 frames of data and they're just duplicated. So ideally, you want to shoot at, in the professional world, the cinema world, it's called a 180-degree shutter. In the GoPro or the prosumer world, this would be a shutter speed that is twice as fast as your frame rate. If your frame rate is 60 frames per second, you would ideally want to shoot at a shutter speed that is 60 times 2 or 120, which would be 1/120. And so in order to achieve super smooth slow motion shots with your GoPro while filming in lower light conditions or indoors, I would recommend setting your shutter manually and setting your shutter speed to twice the speed of your frame rate. This will ensure that every frame that you capture is unique and allows you to have that smooth look. Continuing the spirit of giving and the spirit of Christmas, I'd like to do some giveaways. First of all, in order to be eligible for this giveaway, simply comment on this video and subscribe to my channel. Now, for every 5,000 views that this video gets, I will randomly select one of the comments on this video, and the user who posted that comment, as long as you are subscribed to me, will receive a GoPro accessory of some sort. Now, this may be anything from an additional GoPro battery to a micro SD card to some sort of cool GoPro gadget accessory, whatever the case may be, and I will randomly select a comment and you will receive a prize. And so that's once every 5,000 views. I will do that up until this video gets 100,000 views. So that's 20 GoPro accessories I'll be giving away. And in addition to that, the ultimate prize is I'll be giving away a brand new GoPro Hero 5 Black Edition to one random commenter on this video once I get up to 10,000 subscribers. So share this video with your friends, comment below, subscribe, encourage them to subscribe and comment, and as long as you are subscribed to this channel, once I get 10,000 subscribers, I will randomly select one of the comments from this video, and the one who posted that comment will receive a brand new GoPro Hero 5 Black Edition. I will be announcing all winners in future episodes of this vlog, and so stay tuned. Subscribe, watch future episodes, and you will see who wins. Maybe it's you. What is on my glasses? This lens is really dirty. Holy.